Welcome back, everybody. This is episode 19 in the Clappercast. It's been a little bit of a break, but if you remember who I am, my name is Burke,
And I'm Sean.
and we got a hell of a series on our hands, the Stanley Cup Finals. The Big Bad Bruins are not the big bad team of the series.
No, surprisingly. The Blues have been more Bruiny than the Bruins.
They're out Bruining the Bruins.
Yeah, that's kind of surprising. Like Brad Marchand isn't even being Brad Marchand. Like he's pretty tame so far. He hasn't really like stirred too much shit up. He's given a Binnington a couple of slashy taps.
I mean, he absolutely murdered Binnington last game. Did you see that? The
Yeah.
humanity. And before we get too much into the episode, I wanted to give a shout out to you, Sean, for a pretty awesome episode without me. I must have been holding you
Thank you.
back. I am I'm glad that you're willing to have me back on the show. Huge fan.
No, thanks. Yeah. I appreciate the comments from fans. It's always nice to hear what they think we're doing.
Yeah, I'm no longer just a founder. I'm back on as a co-host, so
Yeah.
I'm all settled in.
Got to be careful though. You might get relegated to fan again. Never know.
Yeah, I got to stay on good behavior. The Department of Podcast Safety might kick me off again. But
Yeah, and it's like there's no way to really predict that type of thing. Like it's just basically like spinning a wheel, I think.
yeah, it's just like the Department of Player Safety. I think it's pretty much the same people involved, so
Probably.
it's much the same.
It's probably the same wheel to be honest.
I also wanted to mention that we're trying a different way of recording now that we're not in the same room, so there might be some audio difficulties or a drop in quality. We're hoping that it's
Yeah.
gonna be a pretty good production value still, but we're trying to find our feet here on the best way to record together.
Yeah.
So there might
Currently
be
running
some,
some Discord with what is it, Craigbot?
yeah. Shout out to Craig,
Shout out to
our
Craig.
producer Craig.
Yeah, producer Craig.
Yeah,
Love
so
it.
let's just jump into the series. It's been pretty fun to watch.
Yeah. I mean, to be honest, like it started a bit slow. Like that first, say, half, 2/3 of game one, when it was still kind of finding its feet and just getting established, was a little bit slow. But after that, it's just been constant good playoff hockey, and it's just been fun to watch.
It really has. I thought Boston would just walk over the Blues a little bit, but Blues are fucking battling back. You know,
Definitely.
where did
Yeah.
you want to start though? Game one? Is there anything that you wanted to discuss?
Oh, damn. Game one was so long ago at this point.
I know, so late on the
It's
draw
mostly
here.
just, I know. It's, like, I think the main thing is that the Bruins pretty quickly kind of figured Binnington out. You can watch and how they're playing it, how they're playing in the offensive zone. You can tell, like I know it is part of their play style to begin with, but you can tell that they're going for those cross ice passes to throw them out of position, and they're playing a lot on that perimeter, but not in like a dismissive, like they can't find any space in the slot way. They're doing it because they know Binnington's putting himself in weird positions.
Yeah, you mentioned that on the podcast without me, that he has a tendency to almost overcommit or just
Yeah,
slide a little extra
he
far.
definitely overcommits on a lot of first chances on the side. We saw that pretty blatantly a couple of times in game four. I think one of them he was basically like out of the trapezoid, like into the corner area by the time he was done.
Yeah, it's like Marc-Andre Fleury light. He does that a lot. He overcommits to the shooter a lot,
Right.
and he's good, and so is Binnington, obviously. But that's what the Capitals did last year. Is they just did those cross ice seam passes, and it's not the easiest thing to do. You have to have some real good passers, and the Bruins have some real good passers. So
Yeah,
um,
absolutely.
you're seeing some of those goals happen.
They've also figured out his 5 hole too. It looks like that. It's not like a weak point, but it's something that he kind of gives up more often than he probably should.
Yeah,
And I kind of wonder if that plays into the whole like the way he moves and his positioning and stuff, that he's stretching out and has to lift his leg up, or if he just opens the 5 hole when he's sliding around.
yeah. There's definitely getting some quality shots 5 hole, and a lot of people are trying to shoot 5 hole on him.
Yeah.
Um,
So I have to imagine that like the Bruins video coaches are like, "Yep, let's shoot 5-hole, move the
maybe
puck and shoot
Martin
5-hole."
maybe Martin Jones rubbed off on him a bit.
Ooh,
His weak 5 hole. So
yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, the weak 5-hole's got to go somewhere. Like Jones kind of fixed his for the playoffs for the most part.
I mean, how much of this is just Binnington no longer being a brand new goalie in the league? Like, it's been some time now that he's been playing, right? Like,
Definitely,
there's been time to scout him and see what his tendencies are at this point.
absolutely.
Especially in the Stanley Cup Finals, there's no greater stage. So,
You're going to be doing all the due diligence you can, and you're totally right there. Like at the beginning of the year when Mikko Koskinen was just getting into the NHL, I mean, there's obviously no real league scouting report on him. They kind of know of him being a player, but nobody really knows who he is and how he's going to do. So he had a stretch when he first took the starting position that he was like winning 8 or 9 of 10 games or something, that he was just lights out. But as the season went on, it became pretty apparent that his glove hand was really weak, and suddenly every single shot that could go glove side was going there. Teams got the chance to scout him. So I think that's kind of just what's happening with Binnington too.
yeah, I think the shooters are getting more information about him, and yeah, he's like we said, he's just not that fresh goalie that nobody knows anything about. They don't know where to shoot on him. Now they're figuring him out.
And that's not to say he's doing bad at all. Like
No,
we're not like I'm not saying his positioning is like a big weakness or like a bad thing about him. It's just like the least strong point, because the dude's got such good reflexes and agility that he's making half these saves anyways.
yeah, he's got good positioning. It's just like the NHL shooters are so good that they're gonna exploit something,
Exactly.
and that's what they seem to be going after. And on the other side of the ice, Rask has been fucking good. It's been really good.
Definitely. I saw a stat I think after the game yesterday that he's got the most I want to say games with a 900 plus save percentage in the playoffs in like the last 10 years. I
Wow.
think he was either tied or just past Corey Crawford. His performance in these playoffs has absolutely kept the Bruins as put the Bruins as far into the playoffs as they've gotten in as few games too. Because I mean, he was huge in that Carolina series.
Yeah, he was instrumental in their victory. He really was. He's been lights out, and he needs to keep playing that way.
Yeah, honestly, like I'm watching Rask and I don't even have like a gauge on what his weakness is. Like he's just kind of solid everywhere. I see the Blues going for a lot of rebounds,
Yeah.
and that seems to be the only way they're going to beat him is like a is like a rebound in a slot or something. Kind of like I think a couple of the goals in Game 4 were that style.
Yeah, I mean that Ryan O'Reilly goal last night too was that big rebound. And
Mm-hmm.
I mean you can't really fault Rask for that
No,
one too much because that was a
not at all.
bomb by Petrangelo, and then it just went right to O'Reilly. Like I don't know how it was so crazy how it went right to him. I mean,
Yeah,
that's a skill to go where the puck's gonna be, but that's also some puck luck, right?
definitely, definitely.
Um, it's just his dirty curve allows him to get there on time.
Yeah, apparently that's really helping him with like stick handling and like grabbing the puck when he's in front of the net.
Yeah, I
That
saw
is kind of it's
somebody
like a
posted that.
real benefit to whatever he's trying to do there. So
Yeah, I don't know how it works,
I'm
but it
also
works.
I don't know how that curve is legal.
Yeah,
I'm
it's like a
surprised that it is.
90-degree angle on the end of his stick. There's a little nub
Yeah,
that's literally 90 degrees off from the rest of the blade.
it is. It's just a corner.
It seems like a loophole that will probably be addressed at some point because that's
Yeah,
such an
either
advantage on keeping the puck on your stick.
absolutely, and for face-offs too. If you got that
Oh
little like
yeah.
little edge there to like hook the puck on,
Yeah.
like
It's
especially like say you got two guys with the puck in the middle and their sticks coming together on opposite sides of it, like who's gonna win? The guy with just like the straight curve, or the guy with a little edge there to like yank it back towards you? I mean,
yeah. It's a strange curve, probably one of the strangest in the league. And David Pastrnak has one of the strangest tape jobs in the league, so
yeah,
there it's a series for the ages.
Ryan Weird Stick O'Reilly and David Elite Tape Job Pasternak. Who, if
Yeah.
you guys didn't notice, actually, if you take a close look at our logo, the stick in the logo actually has Pasternak's tape job.
Let's talk about Oscar Sundqvist's hit for a
Yes,
minute here. So that was in what, game 1 or
2.
game 2?
Yeah,
Okay.
game 2 suspended, game 3 back, game 4. Yeah,
Wait, didn't Sundqvist play last night? Wasn't that game 3 or was that game 4?
no, that was game 4 last night. It's 2-2
Oh
now.
fuck, losing it. Okay,
Great
so
series, right?
yeah, so Sundqvist got 1 game suspension for boarding
In the cup
Grzelcyk.
final, we might add. It's probably like 5 games in the regular season.
I actually like the decision,
I'm okay with it.
but I think they got it right
Yeah,
in this case because on that play, Sundqvist has got to let up. That's
he
just what
does.
it comes down to for me. He has Grzelcyk in the numbers basically the whole way.
Hmm.
It looked like he was committed to hitting him no matter what happened, and you can't do that.
Yeah, yeah,
So
basically. Yeah, the main issue for me in this hit is the angle he takes in. That if you kind of follow the direction of play and kind of where the puck's going, Sundqvist is coming in like against that into the boards. So not, and he doesn't really adjust properly for Grzelcyk's movement. So he just ends up coming in and then he cuts across him. So like he doesn't lead in with the same shoulder or the same arm that that you would think he would hit with when he goes in that way. He actually kind of like turns at the last minute and goes in with the other side. And
yeah,
that just like shoves him right into the boards. Now, unfortunately, like Grzelcyk stumbled or something as he was against the boards there, so that's what threw him into the dangerous position he was in, and that's basically what ended up injuring him because I think that's the only reason his head was where it was. But that's still that's you can't do that when you're Sundqvist, basically, like you said. You've got to readjust. You've got to take a different path. You got to stop or turn away.
yeah. I sent you the text right after that hit happened that Tom Wilson was just trying to protect the league from that goon, like an Oscar
Oh yeah, big
Sundqvist.
time, big time.
He was trying to
Good guy,
save the league
good guy,
by
Tom
taking him
Wilson.
out. Yeah,
I also think the other good part of that suspension, in kind of looking at it after the fact, is that sense of game management. That
totally.
giving him the suspension is setting a good precedent that that type of stuff isn't going to be allowed. And especially with a team like Boston, like they do have the ability to play incredibly physical, sometimes borderline. It's a good way to set the precedent for the rest of the series that like this shit's not going to fly.
Yeah, I think it was a good call all around. I haven't seen too many people outraged by the decision. Pretty well accepted suspension, I think, which is weird for the NHL.
Very usually there's a lot of like counter arguments to it or just people pissed off about it. But I mean, at first too, I admittedly didn't think it was going to get any more than that, just because I was looking at it like, well, Grzelcyk stumbled. That's the only reason he got hit like that. I didn't think it was going to get anything at all, to be honest. So I was kind of surprised initially when I saw that it was going to go for a hearing. But looking at it again, like there's too much fault to be placed on Sundqvist for what happened.
Yeah, yeah, that's what it comes down to, basically.
And also, I'm trying to stay consistent with borderline dirty hit and high contact. Yeah, it's probably going to get suspended. It should.
So let's just stick with the topic of Bruins D getting injured. Big Zdeno Chara
Big Z.
took
Yeah.
a deflection from Shen off the chops, and
Yeah.
he went down, threw his gloves off. So you know something's going on because he doesn't do that.
No. And I mean, saw it as soon as he like kind of moved his head into open view. It's just dripping some blood out.
Yeah,
Um,
pretty rough.
I think that's one of those. I think that's one of those Don Cherry you don't do that plays where he kind of has his stick like ramping up to his face, kind of that same deal as Werenski.
Yeah, I mean, I picture, those memes where somebody has like those red laser eyes. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Mm-hmm.
That's what I picture
Mm-hmm.
Don Cherry doing when he sees that play happen, because he's talked about
Oh
that
man,
for
totally.
probably a decade or more at this point. Young
Oh,
kids out
easily.
there playing defense, you don't put your stick in front of the shooter. He says it.
Yeah,
I
big time,
can't
big time.
count on how many times I've heard him say that.
Yeah.
He just goes off on that. And
Well, he's so right.
yeah, I mean
I
it's a
mean,
dangerous play.
yeah.
Uh, Even a visor wouldn't have saved him there, just the angle that it came up.
No, because I hit him in the mouth.
Um,
The fishbowl might have saved him if he wore that the whole
yeah.
game.
It's just it's a tough play because I mean that's kind of you see every D man out there doing it, and most
Hmm.
times it works. Few
Hmm.
times it goes off.
Yeah, most times it's fine.
Most
Most times it is totally fine, but that once or twice a month that it just ramps right off.
Yeah, or it goes into the
And
net because it changes the angle of the
exactly,
shot and it goes in the net and they get a goal. But I mean
exactly.
the numbers game would probably be like 90% of the time it just goes out of play or misses the net or whatever. But
Hmm.
yeah, so
Um,
Chara left for a while, came back with a fishbowl on. You could see like he wasn't even talking on the bench, so he
no,
kind of
no, he looked completely out of it on the bench, to be honest. Like you kind of they'd pan to his face and he was just like there,
yeah,
but like you could tell he just wasn't him. Like he wasn't like engaged. He was just kind of like dead staring into the play.
yeah, he didn't
He was
play
like on door
anymore.
duty because he wanted to be back on the bench.
Yeah, he came back because he wanted to be with the guys, which is admirable. I don't think there's really much they could have done for him at that point, like
No,
medically. Um,
no. I know it's not like getting the jaw surgery 2 hours earlier is going to help.
no,
Which, by the way, I'm looking at a. I'm. This is. I don't really know like who this station is or what they are, but there is a report that Chara's jaw is actually broken
right.
and he's going to be out the rest of the series.
That would be such a huge loss.
There's no official updates, and there's also no confirmation that even if he has the broken jaw, he's done for the series. Because I guess you can still play through it, which I imagine a guy like Char is probably going to try to. There is a report that it is more than just a cut and a couple of missed teeth.
Well, I mean, on the Blues, you have Vince Dunn, who had almost the exact same thing happen, except for he just got shot in the face by Dilly Bar, Matt Dillon, or not Matt Dillon. Matt Dillon's an actor. Brandon Dillon on the Sharks. He shot the puck and hit Dunn in the face. Um, he
Right?
broke his jaw. It's wired shut right now, so he can't even open his fucking mouth, and he's playing hockey. How hard is that? Can't even communicate.
They're gonna have some real intricate like grunting signaling language where it's
Yeah,
like one grunt for left, two grunts for right.
it's gonna be like whales, like communicating
Yeah.
by whale language.
Vince Dunn to Seattle confirmed.
Yeah. But like how fucking intense is that playing hockey without even being able to open your mouth? Like that's insane.
Yeah.
Just like keeping your breath, like just breathing through your nose. That's fucking
Oh man.
absolutely insane.
I'm just trying to think like trying to just go even for like a run with no mouth breathing, just breathing through your nose is like grueling sometimes once you hit like the middle of it.
Yeah, I can't imagine what that is like.
He's gonna have some mad nose whistles.
Yeah, yeah.
He's
That's
gonna need like a 3 foot bubble on the bench so no one can hear him breathing.
yeah. Yeah,
Oh,
it's pretty insane. But yeah, I hope Chara can come back because that is massive. Losing, such a veteran presence, someone who was there for the Cup final in 2011, and such a leader for the team. I mean, I know they still have Patrice Bergeron, they still have Backus, they still have Rask, um, Krejci, but that's huge.
that's your D leader, you
Yeah.
know. Yeah, he's like 42. Yeah, he's not as fast, but he's still like the leader of the D.
Yeah, and then that means they have to pull up somebody else. Um,
Yeah, and like let's be honest, Steven Comfer is not as good as Zdeno Chara.
yeah, that's a
Like
no-brainer.
to be completely blunt. And actually, I did see earlier too that they Bruins might actually go with 7 defensemen if like Grzelcyk and Chara are both out.
Yeah, yeah, that's brutal. Both of them are out.
Yeah, and I mean Grzelcyk on his own too is he's a really important part of that D as like a puck mover.
Yeah, for sure. having a third of their D core, their D lines out is brutal. I mean, it doesn't take a fucking great hockey mind to tell you that that's not a good thing to have 2 out of 4
I mean,
of
yeah,
your
we're telling
top
you about
2
it.
lines gone. It's going to take some real resilience for them to bounce back from that if Chara is in fact out for the series, because that's brutal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I hope he can come back. And I like you said, I think he's the type of guy who's going to try and play no matter what. But if he doesn't get cleared, he doesn't get cleared. So
Exactly.
there's not much you can do at
Let's
that point.
I am just kind of glad on that end though. Like he didn't get diagnosed or any there's nothing come out about him having a concussion yet.
Yeah, that's
which that is a concern when you get a puck in the face still. But so that's kind of the main one that would probably keep him out the series.
That's pretty shitty. While we're on the topic of Bruins D-men, Torrey fucking Krug.
Dude's good.
Dude is good. For the Bruins, he's definitely up there for MVP.
I think so, yeah. He's kind of been like a quiet MVP because he hasn't stood out big time, but he is putting up points and he's also incredibly reliable for them on the back end.
And on that power play, he is instrumental in getting anything going.
Yeah.
He is such a huge
He's an offensive catalyst for them back there.
Yeah.
Big time.
Yeah, he's looking sharp. I think there was a thing that Spit and Chicklets put out, and it was about American-born defensemen and their point totals in the playoffs. And he, I believe, is at 50 or something points, but he's basically comparable to a lot of other guys who have almost double the amount of games played. It's just crazy the amount of points that he's been putting up on the back end. He's just been on a tear.
Big time. Yeah, I saw that too, and he's up in that stat with all-time great defensemen.
Yeah.
And he's matching them, like you said, in half the games.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And he also, I guess this was just for one cup final game, but in that 7-2 win in game 3, he set the all-time record for most points in one cup final game for the Bruins.
I mean, they've had some pretty average D-men over the years, right? They haven't had any good, outstanding defensemen.
No. I can't think of any.
No, they've never had a D-man where number 4 that's been really good. I don't think so.
Are you talking about Gunnarsson? He played for St. Louis.
I mean, he's having a good series. He got his first ever playoff goal.
That was an absolute bomb from the point.
Yeah, that's what happens when you talk to the coach at the urinals in between overtime.
Yeah, no doubt. Cue the lineup for defensemen talking to the coach in the bathroom.
Yeah.
That awkward conversation at the urinals.
While we're on the topic of D-men in general, Vince Dunn coming back from fucking missing 6 games or whatever. He had a 95% Corsi or something last night.
That's insane.
What?
I guess the thing I'd like to see around that is zone starts.
Yeah, of course.
Just to see are they putting him in the defensive zone, or is he actually or is he just starting the offensive zone, or is he getting the puck out of the D zone and into the offense?
Yeah.
But even if he is an offensive specialist, his instincts from the blue line offensively are out of this world.
Yeah, definitely.
That guy, he just creates chances out of anything. And he pinches, he joins the low attack very well, and he'll just throw shots and passes, and he's just always being this dynamic, offensively generating presence for the Blues.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I noticed it earlier in the playoffs in a couple of games too, and then he got hurt, and I kind of forgot about it.
Yeah, he's such a great puck.
But when he's on the ice in the offensive zone, exactly, you hear his name constantly because he's just driving the offense from there.
Yeah. Yeah, he's looking sharp. There's a lot of good D-men in this series. And also, let's talk about forwards.
What are those?
So with the Blues, Ryan O'Reilly had a huge game 4.
He did. That was big for him.
And the show, fucking smoke show is having a real good playoffs. Like he's been turning it up since probably the second round. Like he had a really good series against San Jose. He got that fucking
Yeah, I
bang
remember him
penalty
putting a
shot.
few good goals against Dallas.
Yeah, he had.
And then San Jose he was good, and like he's not like a standout constantly like doing stuff on both sides of the puck, but he's putting the puck in the net. He's doing his job.
And he plays physical too.
He does. He had a few pretty good hits yesterday too. There was one along the boards. I think it was against Pasternak.
Oh yeah, yeah,
I can't remember for sure.
yeah. I think
Just dropped a shoulder on shoulder, and whoever the Bruin was just got him good.
yeah. All-time Bruins name guy Charlie Coyle.
He's meshing really well with Boston.
He's playing with
He fits.
Mojo and
Yep.
Heinen, I think.
I think so. It's either Heinen or Achari. I can't remember which one.
Yeah, I saw a thing that he's had more goals with the Bruins than he has ever with the Wild in playoffs, and he's only
Probably.
with Boston, this season.
Yeah, he's not like a standout player, but he's contributing. And like we've talked about in the past, the Bruins' depth scoring has been pretty important and reliable throughout the playoffs.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's continuing to now. Like they're generating stuff. Like Johansson is actually doing really, really well.
Yeah, I'm happy to see that. I love Mojo. He was one of the players that left the Capitals that I was actually really sad to see. Him and Beagle made me sad to lose them. And I'm really happy to see him doing well, especially after the injury problems that he's had. All the concussions.
And he missed out on the cup last year too.
Yeah. So it's nice to see him doing really well. And I like that depth. It can never be overstated. It's so important because when the top line isn't getting any points, you need that depth to be able to step up and get it done. And the Bruins are doing that. They're getting that secondary, even tertiary scoring. Like they just have 4 lines that can score, and it's fun to watch. They have that fourth line that can get the energy up and forecheck, back check. It's fun. And it's a credit to the St. Louis Blues that they're able to withstand that, with their quality defense and just bouncing back. It's fun to watch. It's definitely been picking up in games 3 and 4. I mean, maybe not game 3, but game 4 was really fun to watch.
Game 4 was the best so far.
Yeah,
by far.
Yeah, game 3 was kind of game 3 reminded me of like 2011. That series. I was like, oh no,
what time is it? 8 past Luongo.
Yeah, is it going to be this type of series again? Like that game was interesting because first time Binnington ever got pulled. And who else has been standing out forward wise?
To me, I just want to mention Jake Debrusk.
Yeah.
Like I don't think he's been as standout-ish in this series per se, but he's a pretty damn good representation of like the new Bruins identity. Mm-hmm. And like all the things that the Bruins do so well and like have a roster built so well to do, he represents all of it. He's really, really good on both sides of the puck. And it's kind of best exemplified by that play, I think it was in game 1, where he blocked a shot at the blue line, sent it past the defenseman, outskated him to the puck, rushed into the zone on a breakaway, and he had the state of mind or like the intelligence to realize that the defenseman was coming up behind him and was going to try to slash or hook his arm to stop the play. So he shook his arm out to knock that stick away before he took the shot. And that little arm movement allowed him to stay completely clear as he went in for the shot. Didn't score, but that's just an incredibly smart play. It's kind of one of those little things that would go overlooked a lot. Mm-hmm. But it's the type of thing that really intelligent players just do. They have a really good sense of what's going to happen and how to read the play and what's going on.
Yeah, he kind of exemplifies that blue collar hustle.
Definitely. Yeah, he's fast, he's physical, he's not like a top line forward, but he's a great third liner.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's definitely popular, I think, in Boston. Just, that shit-eating grin that he has too. Like,
Totally.
they love that in
Totally. He's probably
Boston.
developed that from Sean.
Them assholes, right? Just play
Yeah,
that way.
definitely. His name doesn't really work in Boston though.
I mean,
Doesn't
I
really
think
have
it's
any.
a pretty Bruinsy name. It's got a lot
Yeah,
of
it sounds Bruinsy, but it like in terms of like Boston, you got like Charlie Coyle, like works great in Boston, but like Jake Debrusk, this doesn't really have the same like
I
Boston
mean,
accent.
Boston always has like the weirdest names. So like Grzelcyk, I think it works. It's kind of a different name.
To be completely honest, I could be given 100 chances to spell Grzelcyk's last name, and I don't think I would get one of them right.
Yeah, it's like G R
I can get the first
Y.
4 letters.
No, it's not a Y. I don't know. I don't know how to spell it.
Oh, there is no Y. I get it wrong every time. Yeah,
I call it
Grzelcyk.
Ek.
CYK.
Ek.
The new letter.
Ek. Yeah. I mean, I made the joke to you that his name is alphabet fucking soup, right?
Yep.
So
And every time I'm texting you his name, I just kind of like jumble a bunch of letters together,
yeah,
and you know who I'm talking about.
Yeah.
It's like GR and then like 8 random letters.
Yeah. Oh, I know what I wanted to mention is the penalties. So the Blues were
Yeah.
the lowest penalized team in the first 3 rounds, and now they're getting calls against them. And Berube was complaining about that, and fucking is it Cassidy? Yeah,
Yeah.
he had a pretty funny response to that because they asked him about, oh, what do you think about the reffing? And he said basically like, I don't have a problem with the reffing until they suck. Yeah, I mean that's pretty much
That's basically it.
sports.
Yeah, like I mean that is the answer that represents every single like player, coach, manager, fan, casual observer, like
Yeah, like I don't have a problem with it until I don't think it's good anymore, and then I have a problem with it. But yeah, I mean, I take issue with Berube, his comment, because
a little bit,
St.
yeah.
Louis is not playing like a team that doesn't deserve to be penalized. They're playing
No,
like
they definitely
old
do.
school gooning it up hockey a little bit. It's not as
They're like I said to
bad,
you yesterday,
but
no. They've become really fond of that like skate up from behind a guy in a scrum, and if it would have been a reverse chokehold.
yeah, I can't believe that didn't get called last night.
That would happen multiple times. Which one?
The time when Backus got fucking choke slammed from behind by
Right.
Petrangelo, like the end of the third-ish kind of think it was. Just ridiculous.
Yeah, I remember that one.
And like who was it? Fucking David Perron, like skating into Rask. I don't know. It's just like,
How about those 2 times that it was Perron and a Bruins defenseman getting tangled up in front of the net, and it's just like the Bruins defenseman is like sitting on top of Perron basically and like holding him down, and then he finally gets out.
oh, it was
And then they're just
Krug.
like bickering. Yeah, well, it happened a couple times with Perron. Like the first one, Krug, yeah, but I can't remember who it was the second time. Or just like the same thing in front of the net with Perron.
Yeah, Perron like took Krug's helmet off and then he went down the ice and did that fucking charge hit. Where he was like looking for blood. It's
basically.
It's
I don't think there is anything penalizable about that, but I also don't like that play.
The only thing I don't like about it is that he didn't hit Perron. I wish that he had hit Perron with that hit. It feels like an injustice that he didn't hit him with that.
Very, very.
Because then it would have been deserved.
I think it was because Perron was like heading off the ice.
Yeah, totally.
Like skating back, like.
Yeah.
Which luckily he kind of realized that Perron had his back to him skating to the bench, so he didn't go after him.
Yeah. I don't like Perron. He plays that shitty type of hockey that I don't like.
Yeah, he's a rat.
And
he's kind of like he's a rat. He's an agitator.
Yeah,
he's a good player. I'm actually kind of disappointed with his performance in this series.
I mean, it's just like last year's final. He sucked ass. He sucked ass in the finals last year, and I mean, I'm okay with that, but
Of course.
yeah, I'm not a big fan of his, but there's something to be said for agitating and getting under guys' skin, and he's still
Totally.
definitely good at that. Patrick Maroon has been good at that, but um, I think that he plays a big boy game, but he backs off a lot.
He does. He doesn't. He knows. He plays pretty kind of occasionally smart about it. Like he's a lot of talk, but he will engage, but he doesn't all the time. He's more of like I think I get the impression he's more of like a trash talker.
Yeah, he got away with that slash on Rask last game. I mean,
Yeah.
you sent me the text like, "Oh, Patty with the love tap." I
Yep.
was surprised that didn't get called. It was so obvious, so after the fact. Like,
Yeah.
uh,
Well, yeah. I mean, I don't know how they didn't see it,
no, I mean they
or if
probably
they just
did.
didn't
They
call it.
probably did, but yeah, um, it's just surprising. So yeah, I mean the Blues are definitely playing more questionable than the Bruins are, and it's just funny that they're complaining about the refs. It's like, well, you've been playing this way basically the whole playoffs, and you haven't been getting calls. So now you're complaining that you're getting calls. Like, I mean, in that Sharks series, they fucking took a bunch of players out. Hurdle got a headshot, no call, no suspension. Um, they I'm not sure what happened with Carlson, but they were definitely targeting him. Pavelski.
Eric.
Who's that? Oh, Eric.
Eric Carlson.
Eric, yeah.
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 Yeah. Eric. Like, well, I mean, it was his groin, right? I think that's kind of been bothering him all season.
Yeah.
So it's like I don't think they injured him, but they definitely knew to play him rougher than whoever the partner was. They knew to play to his side and make him skate and like
Yeah.
finish their hits on him and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, even game one, like they just went after him hard. They were hitting him
Mm-hmm.
hard. I mean, which is fair, but it's it's kind of a questionable game plan to just like let's hit this guy until we hurt him.
Basically, yeah. I kind of see it as like poor sportsmanship, just because I prefer to beat someone by scoring on them, not by destroying their body. But it's kind of like,
I don't know where I sit with it because like I don't mind physical. I like physical hockey, but playing to hurt someone, I'm not sure if that's what they were doing,
yeah.
but that kind of leaves a sour taste in
I
your mouth.
think I think I saw this bit of a discussion about it, or probably around this time, that it's like you play physical to make someone like limp back to the bench, but you don't play physical to actually hurt somebody, to
Yeah.
like take them out of the game.
Yeah.
Which like I totally agree with that. Like to make someone like perform less than ideal for the shift, or to like send them off for an early change or something, not to like not to take them out of the game or out of the series.
Yeah, and Berube played that way, so
I guess it's just
it's
his play style being passed down.
yeah. Yeah, it just seems funny that they're complaining now about not getting the calls.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's kind of the same deal that happened Edmonton versus Anaheim in like 2017 in those playoffs. Whereas like going into the series, Randy Carlisle was just bitching in the media about McDavid getting a white glove treatment.
Yeah.
And it turns out that the entire series was basically the Ducks just getting every single call in their favor.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then, a few games into it, Todd McClellan was just like, I thought we were supposed to be getting the white glove treatment.
It's I mean, yeah, they got fucked over in that one game against the Sharks with the hand pass, but they haven't really been getting fucked over all playoffs. So
No.
yeah.
I think overall, I think the reffing's been pretty good, but I did notice in game 4 it was getting a little bit, I won't say one-sided, but I'll say a bit out of hand with what was and wasn't getting called. Because there were some like random stick infractions that we're getting that it's like, why is this being called? But like the reverse choke slam isn't.
Those should have been called for sure. Because like they were on like nothing plays. Like there's nothing going on in front of the net. Like they were just stopping in front of Binnington, and then Petrangelo or whoever would just come out of nowhere and just fucking slam him down. It's like that. There's nothing happening there. And then on the
Yeah.
other end of the ice, you have like Maroon fucking like slashing Rask and stuff. And they've been going
Yeah, and
after
like right in the
Rask all
stomach too.
series. So it seems strange that there's been no calls on that.
Hmm.
I would hope to see that sort of shit being called moving forward, but it's the NHL, so who knows what crew is going to be working and what their standard's going to be. Um,
Yeah.
no idea.
Guess it depends too. If the series official like supervisor or whatever kind of sits them down and says, okay, this type of stuff's got to get called from now on, which I kind of hope they do.
Yeah.
Just so these types of plays and after whistle scrums don't start getting completely out of control.
Yeah, let's hope that doesn't get out of control
Hmm.
again, but
One thing I wanted to ask you actually about this. So through these playoffs, we're seeing a lot of very contentious arguments about the reffing and how it's just been kind of bad. And it's I'm looking at it kind of like we see in the regular season how there's a lot of things that are being cracked down on, and that old school style of physical hockey is sort of being phased out in terms of like the big bone crushing hits and like the after whistle scrums that are like really really violent and physical. Like those are kind of dying out or taming down a bit. But the traditional playoff hockey ramps it up again. So it's just like this weird contrast between the regular season and the playoff hockey, that it's just it's such a shock to go from one to the other like that.
Okay.
That we're not used to this stuff being called again, or like the players don't know what's going to get called, and like the refs don't know what's going to get called because they had to change how they're calling games now. And it's just like I'm just noticing that contrast between the two styles of hockey. I was kind of wondering if you think maybe that's kind of why we're seeing so much complaining about the refs and what isn't getting called.
It could be. I mean, playoff hockey refs have always put their whistles away because it's like there's more on the line, there's more intensity, there's more liberties being taken. So if you call stuff all game, it's going to be pretty boring. But I think there's definitely something to that. It's just like the standard of play changes. The standard of penalties changes for sure in playoffs. It's a totally different atmosphere. And I think that's just the fact of having such a long season and so many teams. They can't play with that intensity all year round. And something that happens in preseason or like 50 games of the season, if that's a penalty, it's probably not going to be a penalty in playoffs unless it's egregious.
Yeah.
I mean, you saw it when they phased
Yeah,
in
totally.
the stick infraction penalties, like the slashing and stuff. The first quarter of the season, how many of those weak ass little love taps on the gloves and stuff were getting called? And then that same season, by the end of the season, people were doing the same shit that they've been doing for decades, right?
Yeah, totally.
Like it's I don't know what that is, if that's just the league trying to phase something in and then, realizing that we're not going to be successful with this because no one wants to see that many penalties, 20 penalties in a period, or they just think that they can't
And the power play tonight
overcome.
was 0 for 17.
Yeah, they just think that they can't overcome that part of hockey, like they can't change it. It's just so ingrained in
Yeah.
how everybody plays. I think the better way,
Yeah, totally. I mean,
like
give them
I
60 games and there's no way it's changing.
I feel like what has to happen for that sort of stuff is for it to come up from minor, like have those rules be installed in minor leagues and have players grow up with a different standard, and then like as people grow up, they start changing it in the NHL,
Hmm.
which probably is already happening because minor leagues change so much. There's so many different rules compared to the NHL.
Yeah. Well, that totally makes sense because it's hard for them
Yeah, it is.
to
It's
adjust,
hard
right?
because there's so many players, there's so many different people. Um, a good example of this, the grandfathering with no visors. I don't know when it was, like 2012 or something, or maybe even before that, where they made the rule where any
Something like that.
new player coming into the league had to wear a visor no option. You can't wear no visor. You're just wearing a visor. That's just the way it is. Any player who is already not wearing a visor at that point could stay.
Yeah, that does make sense.
That was a good way to implement that, because you're implementing new safety features, so players are safer, and then anybody who's already playing that way doesn't have to do anything. So that was a good approach to a unique issue.
Yeah, I think that's a decent approach, that you have to kind of bring it up through the minors first, and especially like if a player in the minor leagues kind of grows up and plays with a certain like expectation around his or her game, that they have to do certain things. They have to have a certain intensity, a certain level of physical play, or like you can do this, this, and this with your stick without getting penalized.
Yep.
And then suddenly they go to the NHL and it's like, no, you can't do that. Well, it's like, it's not going to work. Like you're going to have, players have no idea what's going on, and you're just going to annoy everybody.
Yeah.
But if the players kind of have those expectations set at a younger age, then they're going to kind of grow up with it, so it won't be as much of a shock.
Yeah, I guess.
Now, the thing you can't do, though, is have two different slashing rules depending on when you were born.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. And then the players coming into the league from minor will make up such a small percentage of the overall players in the league, because you're going to have, like, say, like the 2019 draft, you're going to have like 2 guys crack a roster next season. You're going to have, or like, maybe not 2, but like 5 or whatever from the draft are going to play next season. I don't know. It's just strange that the standard of play changes depending on what month it is.
Yeah.
You'd like, I mean, even now,
and it throws everybody for a loop.
Even in June, it's different than May.
Yeah.
Like,
no, totally.
Like, you can get away with murder in the finals, and it's always been that way. I mean, we were talking about 2011 before. Look at 2011. The shit that happened in that series, it's insane.
Well, yeah, like the hits. I mean, it was Romy on Horton there.
Yeah, breaking his back basically.
Like, of course, that did get suspended, but like the amount of people who thought that shouldn't be suspended at the time, that if we look back on it now, it's like, well, yes, that is absolutely like a multiple game suspension. And it's such like, it throws everyone for a loop to see like the standard of play change so much over the course of a few months, that it's like, well, of course, we're kind of confused as to what's actually supposed to be allowed and not allowed.
What is a penalty and what isn't a penalty has definitely evolved since 2011, even in the finals. But it's also evolved in the regular season as well. And you still have that disparity between what's a penalty in the finals compared to what's a penalty in the regular season. That has stayed consistent. Like, there's still that huge gap between playoff penalties and regular season penalties. And I don't know if that's a real issue. Like, your whole intro to this point is that people are complaining about the refs. And yeah, I don't know what that is, if people don't remember from like the previous playoffs, or maybe it's the fact that there's new teams in playoffs that haven't experienced
new fans.
Well, no,
yeah,
not necessarily
exactly.
New fans, but just new.
Well, I mean, new fans is like new fans of teams like who aren't normally there.
Yeah, like new playoff fans.
Yes,
like they're regular season fans of their team. It could be diehard, but they don't see their team make playoffs all the time. Like, or even like Columbus or something, right? Like actually making a little bit of a run or winning a series for the first time, and you see your players getting injured and hurt because, the wear and tear of playoff hockey, playing a fucking war every 2 nights. You're not used to seeing that, and you're like, oh my God, like, what's my favorite player's getting hurt? This is bullshit. Like, there needs to be something happening to this. It's like, well, that happens to everybody.
Yeah, that is, and the answer is like, that's playoff hockey.
And yeah, and you have to be incredibly lucky, like the Capitals last year, to not have anybody injured, right? Like, sure, everybody's got little nicks and bruises and all that, but
I mean, pretty much everybody's probably playing with like punctured lungs and bruised ribs.
Yeah,
at this
everybody's
point, right?
a Patrice Bergeron. Patrice Bergeron's probably got like appendicitis and
ruptured spleen, probably a couple of kidney bruises.
Yeah. He's probably got a couple
There was
bones
actually
sticking
a
out.
huge discussion before game 3, I want to say, that he is hurt pretty bad right now.
It wouldn't surprise me. Not
It
surprised.
wouldn't surprise me. Like I don't know how true it is. Like I don't know if he's playing hurt or if he's just kind of getting stifled by, probably one of his better matches in the league
Yeah.
in O'Reilly.
hmm I'm not sure. I hope he's not hurt, but he probably is.
Yeah, you hope not, because like you don't want guys to be like playing through these injuries that are gonna affect them long term, or like have them suffering for 3 weeks until
Yeah.
they can stop playing and it heals.
Yeah. Well, now that we've discussed the finals, I mean, is there anything else you want to bring up about the finals?
The only other point that I wanted to look at was just how this series is a really good mesh of like the new and old school styles. Because like you got the old school stuff that we're just talking about, like the more physical, like the type of stuff that we would see now and be like, that's a penalty, that's a suspension. And that new school, like that speed, skill, talent, offensive style, aggression, but not like overly physical, just aggressive.
Yeah.
And it's a pretty good match of those two styles. I think it's like a really good representation or like a transition point for the game as we kind of start seeing more transition into that like aggressive forecheck that we saw like Columbus and Vegas and Carolina use so well the last couple of years.
Yeah, I mean, there's still definitely a place in the league for that style, which I think is good. I mean, the more styles that can be successful in the league, I think is good. I don't want to see two teams that play the exact same way playing each other. As much fun as that
Except for
can
this series,
be,
because
as much fun as that can be, it's nice to see different approaches playing each other and them to not
yeah,
just devolve into playing the trap against each other. It's
it's just like that. It's a combination of like that Spider-Man meme where it's just two Spider-Mans pointing at each other,
yeah,
and above it is just it's a trap, it's a trap.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, no one wants to see that. No one wants to see like when Philly was playing against what, Tampa.
that was a good
Chris
play. I
Pronger
love that.
just sat back with the puck, not doing anything. I mean, could you imagine that happening in the playoffs? How fucking boring that would be.
How long would it take for fans to start booing? I
Oh,
guess it depends on which team was doing it.
yeah, not long. Not long. It's just I don't want to see the game turn into soccer where it's like such a chess match. I like to
Yeah.
see. I don't think it ever will.
I definitely I looking at how like what styles of players succeeding and how like that speed, skill, talented game is kind of rising up these last couple of years. I don't think we're going to see that, thankfully. I think we're going to see a lot of that, a lot of like Vegas clones in a sense,
Right.
because that type of aggressive trap style seems to play really well with the new NHL in a sense.
Yeah.
But like I think every team's going to be able to have a different approach to that. You're going to have some teams that are bigger that kind of stick with their counter attack on the rush. Some teams like Winnipeg that typically are good with um, being physical, but also with generating offense and puck possession, the offensive zone.
hmm
That they'll probably still be good at that, but because they're so aggressive, it won't like hamper them in any way.
Yeah, and it's still fun to watch. Definitely still fun to watch.
Definitely. Yeah, because that's also one thing you worry about because you hear like older hockey players talk about how structured the game is now and how like players don't have any freedom to do anything. Like they have to follow the coach's game plan X's and O's so closely that they're not creative or anything anymore. And you don't want it to get to a point where it's like players are just filling in like cogs on a board or whatever,
Yeah. Yeah, I
that
mean,
there's still some freedom to do whatever and
well,
like
that's what
for McDavid to fly past someone
yeah,
and dangle five guys out at once.
that's what's exciting about the game is seeing
Yeah.
creativity and things that people can't do in like beer league and stuff, right? Like
hmm
that's the fun part. Like people remember those plays that fucking only gods can make, right? Like,
I very vividly remember that first game back for McDavid after he hurt his collarbone in his rookie year, that goal against Columbus,
mhm.
where he just got the puck and he just went right through like four of the Blue Jackets and scored.
Yeah,
Like that is a highlight of his career. Like I'm like that type of play wouldn't really happen with too much because he probably would have been told to dump it and dump and chase or
yeah,
something.
or like
Oh, you're skating into four guys. You probably shouldn't do that. Dump it and chase the puck instead.
yeah, for me, one of those plays, it's very recent, but in last year's finals when Backstrom made that saucer pass to Ovechkin, and you have that perfect camera angle from behind Ovechkin to see Backstrom feed that pass through like 4 bodies, and it just lands tape to tape. And you just watch that and you're like, there's no fucking way like that pass
Oh,
should
absolutely.
even be attempted. And he gets it perfect. Like, it's
Yeah,
just like the chemistry that those players have to know what they're gonna do. It's just insane and so much fun to watch. And that's what makes hockey exciting, and especially playoff hockey when there's so much on the line. Best of 7.
I agree.
So that's probably a good point to leave the series.
I think so.
Although, really quickly, are you still sticking with Boston? You had Boston in 7, right?
I had Boston in 6.
Okay, we both had Boston in 6 then, right? I had Boston in 6.
Maybe we did.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, because we agreed. I remember it was the first time we agreed, like all playoffs except for those.
The issue that I have with my my predictions is that I've gotten 2 series right every single round.
Oh, well, you can't do that this
So
time.
I don't know how this is going to happen.
I've gotten pretty much every series wrong, so I don't know. Maybe I'll be 1,000 or
As is
maybe I'll be
normal.
0 again. So yeah, let's move on from the finals. Let's talk about some other news going on. Most importantly,
Well,
is Kuznetsov. I
what?
wanted to talk about that. Kuznetsov and his coke.
Oh yes. Oh God.
It's totally not the most important. It's
It is not. It is not.
I
But
I mean, I think it's dumb that he got filmed doing it.
yeah, whoever this friend is that he was with is gonna be in some shit from Evgeny probably.
Friendship ended with camera
Yeah,
in
because
person.
that's not the type of video that you want that is really responsible for them to be taking. Like,
Yeah, it's
also to release it.
it's I really don't have any issue with it because it's like, wow, big surprise, like hockey players doing coke. Yeah, wow.
Yeah,
In Vegas. Yeah, what a surprise. But it's just you got to put yourself in a situation that's better. Like you can't put yourself in that bad situation.
definitely
I
not.
know he wasn't doing the drugs on camera, but it's like, okay, well, yeah,
Yeah, it's like, well, first it's like, okay, well, he wasn't doing them on camera, so there's no punishment to be had for that. Like being around drugs is not a crime, so he's clear on that sense. But it's like, okay, does he like? Is this going on behind the scenes that we're not seeing? Like, is he okay? Like,
yeah,
because you always wonder, like every couple of years, you hear about how bad coke use is amongst NHL players,
hmm
and someone ends up in the substance abuse program. You just like hope that the players who are struggling or have issues that need to be worked on
yeah,
are like getting the help and support that they need to like succeed and not get too wrapped up in stuff.
yeah. For me, like I don't really have a problem with him doing it, but it's sad for me because he had a really good public image, and everything about him was always really positive. He's a really fun guy. He's got a lot of good, funny quotes in interviews and stuff.
Oh, we see Kawhi Leonard.
He's a fun guy. But now,
There's the NBA talk for the episode.
yeah, but now he's devolved into, haha, cocaine.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Yeah. So what was it, like 2 or 3 days after that story
yeah,
broke?
yeah,
Him and his wife had a kid,
yeah. Second child.
I think, and I looked at the R Hockey thread like probably an hour or two after it got posted on there,
Mhm.
and every single comment was a cocaine joke,
Yeah,
except for the one that says "I came here for the cocaine jokes."
yeah, yeah. It's not like, wow, congrats for the
Not,
baby or
yeah,
anything.
like there was congrats, but it was all like subtle cocaine puns.
Yeah. I mean, that shit'll fade, but it'll always still be there. So it's just sad for me, like,
Yeah,
because I genuinely like Kuznetsov. He seems like a really cool guy. He's the same age as me. He's on my favorite team. I was so
he's
excited
relatable.
when he came to the Capitals because he was so hyped up. and he's just got such a positive personality, and now it's just like, okay, well now every other fan base just is like, haha,
Well,
cocaine.
now we have to wonder, why does he have such a positive personality?
Well, yeah, exactly. Yeah, like I said,
As we devolve into the cocaine jokes
I
too.
really don't care if he's doing it. It's not a surprise, but yeah, it's unfortunate. But I mean, like it's really a non-issue thing. It's not gonna make any difference. He apologized. The Capitals said like it's all good. Basically, the NHL has said it's all good. Basically, so it's not really anything except for fans making jokes about it now.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And whatever's going on behind the scenes, probably some PR training.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
be careful who you're
Koozie,
with and like what you're
don't be on
doing.
video.
Don't get filmed with drugs near you.
Yeah, come on. Not don't do drugs. Don't get filmed doing drugs. Come on.
Yeah.
So the next thing I want to talk about is Erik Karlsson watch.
Oh, it's starting already. I'm excited.
It's
This is gonna be a
100%.
fun July 1st.
It's gonna be interesting.
Actually, no, it'll be a fun week leading to July 1st because nothing actually happens on July 1st. We know what's gonna happen already.
Yeah. So he's made an Instagram post saying like, "Thank you for the Sharks organization, fans, blah blah blah."
Yeah.
Which
Yeah, Bay Area and everything.
and there's been things coming out saying like it's been really hard for him and his wife to be in San Jose because she's from Ottawa, all her family. He really loves Ottawa. It's been a tough move. So speculation is that he's going to leave, but I think I saw something saying like he is definitely open to staying, but he's also open to what was it? What was the quote? There's something about him expecting offers from Ottawa and the Montreal Canadiens.
Ooh.
So
Wouldn't that would be an interesting fit.
that would be sweet. I think that would be good. I have no idea what the Montreal Canadiens cap is like. I don't know if who they've got coming off the books. I don't think
Well,
that
let's check.
Carey Price having such a gigantic contract is going to help that. But that would be a very, very interesting thing to see. Erik Karlsson in a Habs jersey. That would be pretty cool.
Yeah, well, it looks like the Habs are going to have 11 million
Oh,
for next season right now.
who do they have coming off?
And
Are they going to have a lot more guys
Antti
to sign?
Jordy Ben, Hudon, Lehkonen, Armia.
Oh yeah. So.
Oh wait, how is this? Okay, yeah, I think that's right. I'm just trying to figure out because they cap friendly's already jumped up to next season.
Oh, okay.
They're already on 1920, so I'm just trying to figure out like they've got RFA under 1920, so I'm just like, okay, well he doesn't have a contract for that season, so he's yeah. So they actually have a 23 man roster already.
Okay.
And they still have 11 million in cap space.
So they fucking could do it.
They absolutely could.
That would be
and
sweet.
Like honestly, they wouldn't have too much of an issue with that. It's just then they've got so much money committed to Weber, Price, and Karlsson long term.
Yeah.
That's, I mean, by the time that's 25, 26, like the cap's probably going to be another 10 million higher. So that wipes Price's contract out basically. But
that
you don't, especially when you're rebuilding, you don't want to go and commit yourself to too much in that sense.
Yeah.
Because then you're gonna have trouble signing some of your younger guys.
It would be like for his family, for him and his wife, it would be fucking basically right next to Ottawa. So I could see that.
Yeah, it'd be so much better for them.
That's cool. I wonder if that'll happen, but I would 100% not expect him to go back to Ottawa. I could see him agreeing to go back there, but I don't see an offer going to him from Ottawa. I don't see that happening.
No, especially not to take like a discount or anything.
No,
I wouldn't expect him to. I did see that he's like super interested in going to Tampa because he wants to play with Hedman.
Yeah.
And he would be willing to take a discount to play with Hedman.
Yeah, there's no state tax there, and it's fucking nice. And I guess it is somewhat closer to Ottawa, but it's still like, instead of being like 8 hours or whatever, it's like 5. So
Yeah, and in the same time zone. And I also saw the Rangers going to make a pretty hard push for him too,
Yeah, that
which
one.
would be like right there as well.
That one, I like again another rebuilding team. I don't know what the fit would be there, but I could see him getting like enjoying New York City a lot. But
Hmm. Now, would this be a situation like in the early 2000s where all these stars go to New York and then completely like die off, or like their game, anyways, not them personally?
they just die.
Yeah,
Go to New York
what's
City
happening?
to die.
Yeah,
Yeah. I don't know.
yeah. Like the Rangers have a much better long-term cap situation because they don't actually have anyone signed past 23, 24.
Wow. Hmm.
But and they also have like 19 million and most of a full roster already.
Oh yeah.
And like in a couple years, you're gonna have Lundqvist off the books, and like they've only got a couple more years of like Shattenkirk,
Yeah.
Mark Stahl as well. So they're in a much better situation to do that.
Yeah.
They've got a lot of guys coming off the books though in the next like 2 seasons.
Yeah. The other.
They only have their longest signed forward is 3 seasons out from now.
Wow.
So that's going to be a lot of turnover potentially for them.
I also saw a rumor that the Vancouver Canucks were looking for some big name D. And that it
Yes.
also that source, I don't remember who it was, but they also specifically said they didn't want Subban because they didn't like his personality. Maybe he plays Fortnite
Hmm.
and they don't want that. So,
Yeah.
uh,
Well, I think he does. I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure he's one of the guys who's been on a gaming stream at some point.
oh, probably. It's a PR event. PK is probably all over it. Uh,
Oh yeah.
so yeah, I don't know who they'd be
So
going
on that note, to answer your question that I interrupted, I saw a whole bunch of rumors today about them being interested in Zaitsev.
at. Ugh.
More than one source is like Canucks are busy working the trade market. They checked in on the price for Nikita Zaitsev.
Ugh.
So that's not like a hard rumor that they're gonna get him, but they're looking at him.
And I don't know.
Yeah, and I mean on that note too, like Nikita Zaitsev is available. He wants out of Toronto.
Yeah, yeah, he made that request.
Yeah.
Yeah, who knows? I mean, there was like that rumor about Taylor Hall not wanting to sign with the Devils, and then
I mean that's completely false at
yeah,
this point,
the
I think.
Devils GM Shiro came out and said like, I don't know what that's about.
Yeah. So like, well, like of course, like he's not going to say, "Oh yeah, Hall's not interested."
Yeah, yeah,
So like, they're not going to outright say it's like true or anything. But I mean, the source isn't a reliable one. I think he's mostly just kind of like a fan blogger type thing.
yeah, yeah. It's like if we were to
It's
say,
kind of that if you remember, yeah, if we were to start breaking like rumors and stuff,
yeah,
he just has more of a following. Like, do you remember that guy Eklund?
no,
Okay, he had this like system of rumors and like breaking like signings and trades that were never right,
hmm
and he just kind of gained notoriety as like this don't believe anything he says type person in the hockey media.
oh, okay,
And I don't really think he's like affiliated with anybody, but
he's just a shithead.
yeah, stirring shit up or just like trying to be, make the one random proposal that's gonna make it be an actual thing.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, there's no shortage of people out there trying to say they have insider scoop, and it's just bullshit. So
Exactly.
yeah. Is there anything else you wanted to discuss?
That covers everything. I mean, the finals is the big story right now. That is where my attention lies. I'm not really like focusing too much on the league right now. Just there's not a whole lot happening in the lead up to the draft here, especially with the finals going on.
Yeah.
I guess the Oilers officially announced Dave Tippett as head coach.
Oh yeah.
So like I kind of talked about that on my own last episode,
hmm
but it's kind of official now. Well, kind of, it is official now.
Yeah.
I think yeah. I guess the main point that's come out and been discussed quite regularly since then is that Tippett got a lot of attention as like a defensive minded coach, and he always laughs that off because he was originally hired on as the head coach in Dallas because he was a good power, because they had a really power play when he was doing that.
Okay.
And that he's not a guy who's like, I'm a defensive coach, so I'm going to implement a defensive system. He's more of a, I have these players, I'll make a system that'll work for them.
You're making a lot of good points, but it sounds like you're live from the moon right now.
Oh,
Some connection / interference problems.
so I mean, of course, like he spent a lot of time recently in Arizona, so they've never had the type of players to really have like an offensive attack system. They've always, defense. That's kind of how you succeed when you don't have too many star players to, outscore the opposition.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. You got to kind of play a grindy battle of attrition, low scoring games to win.
Basically.
Defensively sound so you don't get scored on too much by the opposition, and just hope to win games in low scoring ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I guess with that, that's probably the episode.
Yeah, I think that's a good time to wrap up.
Yeah. So again, this is kind of a new format for us, recording through a new medium. Hopefully it turns out well, and we'll be, looking at our options moving forward, what works, what doesn't work. So, we'll be trying a few different things out probably, and hopefully hammering out the details as we go along. So don't forget to like and subscribe to our podcast. Please throw it a rating. Also follow us on Instagram. We are also on Twitter. You can find our dank maymays on there. And we also have a Facebook page if anyone still uses Facebook. So ciao for now, and we'll be back. I don't know when.
After the finals. Come on.
After the finals. All right. Well, we'll see you guys next time.